how did you get to the notion of the first posting of what you were going to do on YouTube? Take me back to that time. And how old were you?
I oh man, I think when I started on YouTube, I was about 23. I had just moved back to California, and I feel like for the record, I should say I still go back and forth quite often.
Hmm.
Um, and when I was out here, I was pursuing acting. I've always wanted to do acting, and I struggled being able to even turn on the television because I'm like, it would just make me feel guilty that I wasn't doing what I really wanted to be pursuing. So I ended up packing. So quick rundown: the G35 was involved in an accident, a hit and run, not hit and run. I was hit, parked, and I ended up getting a new car, which is now a swap 240 SX, which is what I have today. Packed everything I owned inside that car, drove cross country, got a 1-bedroom apartment in Hollywood to pursue the dream of acting. And I spent 6 years, however many years I did, working in a restaurant, not really getting anywhere, doing everything else that I needed to do, going to casting workshops, emailing casting directors, cold calling anyone who would just hear me out, who I could pitch and give me an opportunity. I was in every class I was told that I needed to get into. And I was getting tired of working in a restaurant because I got to the point where I was putting in these 12-hour days, and the last restaurant that I was working at required you to wear heels as the uniform, and my back was hurting. I just wasn't happy doing it. And my mom had been telling me for a while, like, honey, why don't you start YouTube? And I'm like, YouTube? What do you know, mom?
Hmm.
And at that time, and stop me if I'm just going off on a tangent.
No, this is
uh,
great.
at that time, because I was still working on cars, I'd work at the restaurant, I'd put time in acting, and then I would go home and just work on my cars. And I was posting on Instagram, the different things I would be doing. I had my Subaru at the time. I still had the 240, and Michelin Tires and Vice Media had reached out to me because they saw one of my posts, because they were trying to bring awareness to their new PS4S tire launch that they did. And they invited me out there. And while I was out there, I had met what an influencer was, what a YouTuber was in the space. And, the guys that I had met were so kind and so generous. And they showed me what camera I should use if I was going to get into it. And it was definitely very inspiring. And when I got back, I spent, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, every single penny in my bank account to buy this G7X. And I met a guy at a very sketchy gas station by myself. Looking back, I'm like, why didn't I at least bring a friend? But I bought this camera, and since then I just started vlogging what I was doing outside of work hours. And yeah, I haven't really looked
And
back since.
and yeah, and the rest is YouTube history.
Yeah.